They laughed at her. Watch what this girl did with her life after failure. In a quiet town lived a girl named Maya. She was different. While other kids played outside, Maya spent her days in her grandfather's dusty old garage, a place filled with the ghosts of forgotten inventions. Her dream wasn't to be popular. It was to create. Specifically, to build a machine that could turn plastic waste into clean, usable fuel. It was an idea her grandfather had sketched out in his journals, a dream he never finished. The town's annual science fair was approaching. Maya saw it as her big chance. For weeks, she barely slept, her hands stained with grease, her hair a mess. She poured everything she had into building the plastic-fuel converter. It was a clunky, strange-looking contraption made of scrap metal and old car parts, but to Maya, it was beautiful. On the day of the fair, she stood proudly beside her invention. The other projects were neat and polished volcanoes made of baking soda, perfectly labeled charts of the solar system. Then there was Maya's machine. A group of popular kids, led by a boy named Leo, walked over. Leo was the son of a wealthy businessman and always won the science fair. He looked at her machine, then at his friends, and let out a loud, cruel laugh. "What is that pile of junk?" he sneered. His friends joined in, their laughter echoing through the gymnasium. "You really think that thing works? It looks like it's going to explode." The judge, Mr. Harrison, a stern old-fashioned teacher, just shook his head in disapproval. He barely glanced at her detailed notes, dismissing the project as unrealistic and frankly, a bit of a mess. Maya's heart sank. She had failed. As Leo accepted his first-place ribbon for a generic solar-powered car model, Maya packed up her machine, tears blurring her vision. The laughter followed her all the way home. That night, she pushed the plastic fuel converter into the darkest corner of the garage and locked the door. The dream was over. Years passed. The town forgot about the girl and her strange machine. Maya left for college, burying herself in books and studies, trying to forget the sting of that public humiliation. She chose a practical major, something safe, something that wouldn't get her laughed at. But the memory of that day, the sound of their laughter, never truly left her. It became a quiet, heavy weight she carried everywhere. One evening, while studying late in the library, she stumbled upon an article about the growing global plastic crisis. Images of oceans choked with waste and animals suffering filled the screen. Suddenly, it wasn't about winning a science fair or proving anyone wrong. It was about a real problem, a problem her grandfather had seen coming, a problem she had once tried to solve. That night, something inside her shifted. The old spark, buried under years of doubt, reignited. She went back home that weekend and unlocked the garage. The plastic fuel converter was still there, covered in a thick blanket of dust. She ran her hand over its cold metal surface. This time, it wasn't just a high school project. It was a mission. Maya dropped out of her safe major and enrolled in engineering and environmental science courses. She spent every spare moment back in that garage, not just rebuilding her old machine, but revolutionizing it. She used everything she was learning: advanced thermodynamics, chemical engineering, sustainable design. She reached out to professors, spent hours in online forums, and even took a part-time job as a mechanic to better understand engines. The new version was sleek, efficient, and compact. It worked better than she had ever imagined. She started small, collecting plastic waste from her neighbors. Soon, she was converting it into enough clean fuel to power her own home. Word began to spread. A local reporter wrote a small article about the girl who turns trash into treasure. That article was picked up by a national news outlet. Then, an email arrived that made her heart stop. It was from a major clean energy investment firm. They wanted to see her invention. Maya presented her new converter, not in a noisy gymnasium, but in a polished boardroom. This time, there was no laughter. There was only awe. The investors were stunned by its efficiency and potential. They offered her a deal that would change her life, and potentially the world. A few years later, Maya stood on a stage, not as a nervous teenager, but as the CEO of a revolutionary company, Terra Nova. Her technology was being implemented in cities across the globe, significantly reducing plastic pollution. She was accepting a prestigious award for innovation in environmental technology. As the applause filled the grand hall, she looked out at the audience. In the crowd, she saw a familiar face. It was Leo. He wasn't the confident, mocking boy she remembered. He looked older, tired. He was now a mid-level manager at his father's company, a company that was recently fined for environmental violations. Their eyes met for a brief moment. In his, she saw not jealousy or anger, but a look of profound regret. In that moment, Maya realized something important. Her success wasn't about revenge. The laughter that had once shattered her had, in a strange way, forged her. It had pushed her to be better, to work harder, to turn a painful failure into a purpose that was bigger than any high school prize. She smiled, not a smile of triumph over him, but a smile of gratitude for her own journey. The best response to ridicule wasn't a comeback, but to build a life so full and meaningful that the noise of the past simply fades away. And as she stepped up to the microphone to give her speech, she knew her story was just beginning. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that will make you think. See you next time.